the Faulk Show. You're listening, you're tuning in your car somewhere. You're watching. You're wondering who are these guys? You know, I stumbled on Christopher Walken's on the show. I'm not sure. Is he? Maybe.
This week on the What the Faulk Show.
How's it going? My name's Phil Burke. I'm on the What the Faulk Show. No idea what the fuck I'm doing here. Mother Faulkner called me up and I'm fucking doing it. But join in, tune in, have a laugh and a great time and just fucking be responsible.
This is the What the Faulk Show. How the Faulk are you doing? My name is Connor Faulk. What is the What the Faulk Show? Well, what the fuck is this? How the fuck is that? The What the Faulk Show is by me. My last name is Faulk. Sounds like a bad word, but it's not. So we like to play with it on the show. How the fuck is this? Oh, you really fucking did that? Well, that's fucking cool. So you can kind of try. Go to school next day. You're technically not using a bad word. You're just using the What the Faulk Show, which is available on what? It's available on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, Pod Directory, my parents' phone, and the text message I just sent you. What the Faulk Show has amazing sponsors. First sponsor, pizza. Are you a fan of pizza? You like pizza? Dairy, bread, mozzarella, ooh, some Parmesan, some pepperoni, maybe some bacon, and some olive oil. Ooh, sorry, I got a little ahead of myself. I love pizza. Ferris Pizza, sponsored with the Faulk Show. Ferris Pizza's got the best pizza for the best price with the most love in it. Check them out at ferrispizza.com. Next time you're based with California, please check out Ferris Pizza. Now, the newest sponsor with the Faulk Show, American Comfort Limousines. American Comfort Limo is the kind of company that provides luxury transportation services at the highest quality standard to over 550 cities in the United States, over 150 reservation cities available. And anytime you want to get a hold of them, go on their 24/7 app, AmericanComfortLimo.com. Really excited to welcome them to What the Faulk Show family. That's one thing I love, pizza. That's another thing I love is traveling, and traveling in style. That's what you do with the American Comfort Limousine. Here on the What the Faulk Show, we have guests, we have interviews. It's an interview type format show. I interview those from entertainment, from sports, from music, from food, from fitness, from space, people who work in space things, anything I can do, any person I can find to provide some interesting conversation, some witty conversation that has some informational value for your day. Whether you're bored at work, you're stuck in traffic, you're at school, your boyfriend or girlfriend's talking too much, your personal favorite of mine, maybe you're playing a video game. You can find me on What the Faulk Show. What the Faulk Show is on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, Pod Directory, as I said, but on social media at my WTF Show on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and soon enough, as soon as I can bear it and get the confidence, I'll go ahead and do a Snapchat. Now, my guest this week's actor Phil Burke. Most notably, you know him on AMC's Hell on Wheels. It's an amazing Western type show. It's on AMC, so they've created what? They've created Fear the Walking Dead, Breaking Bad, to name a few. So it's gritty, it's in your face, and it's really interesting. It's about the trains being built, the railways in the United States in the early days. So them trying to build all the connecting trains. You have Union Pacific, you have the bigger type of companies and the kind of monopolies and things that they're dealing with. And obviously all the political and the hard work and the things that are happening in terms of the people who are actually building the railways. Now, Phil Burke played Mickey McGinnes. Mickey McGinnes was an Irish descendant who kind of comes on the show. He's come from a different country, obviously trying to find his way, trying to make his way in the country, and in this setting, in the American West, in the railways. It's really interesting to watch his character. So 5 seasons of this show was on AMC, so he's going to get some nice residuals, so it shows you how good it was. Just wrapped up. It's on Netflix, so go ahead and check it out now. It's also on Hulu, so check out Hell on Wheels on AMC. Check out the What the Faulk Show on the sites I told you. Have a great Faulkn time listening. I'm really fucking excited you took a chance to listen. Phil Burke, actor from AMC's Hell on Wheels, here on the What the Faulk Show.
Hello?
Hi there, is this Phil Burke?
Hey, what's going on?
How the fuck are you doing, man?
I'm good. How's it going?
It's good. I'm excited to have you on the show, dude. I appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
So I wanted to go ahead and, I went ahead and did an intro before, and I talked about all your work on many different shows. Obviously, as Mickey McGinnes on Hell on Wheels, I'm a huge fan. Just wrapped up a great 5 seasons on that show, and we're going to go ahead and talk about that and your career and anything and everything in between. You stoked?
Yeah, man. I'm just happy to be here. Thanks very much.
Fuck yeah, man. Okay, now, on my research for you, Phil, I looked around, I did as many different things as I could. I checked out your agency and different things. It says you're Irish-Canadian, but didn't say exactly what parts. What parts of those countries are you from?
I was born in Toronto.
Okay.
And born in Toronto and was lucky enough to have a very interesting upbringing where I traveled quite a bit back and forth between Canada and Ireland.
Okay.
And most of my family, well, they come from Cork in the southern part of Ireland, and now mainly they're in Cork, Galway, and a few bits in Limerick.
Awesome. So now, was there an entertainment background? Was it kind of a artistic family?
No.
No.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, I hesitate to say no because I think most Irish people rather, are typically entertainers in their own right. There's something within the DNA, you know. There's something that
Okay. Nice.
that just storytelling, singing song, you know, being around the kitchen, around the fire, just sort of trading away. And I think that's just sort of inherent. I mean, when you look at the wonderful writers, you know, Brendan Behan, James Joyce, Oscar Wilde, like the list goes on.
So
there's just something within that sort of culture that is innately entertaining, and I think most people would be able to say that, which is perhaps maybe one of the reasons why we spread like wildfire across the earth.
So just entertaining people overall. So it's safe to say that if you have an Irish person at a party, they're bound to be the life of the party. Would that be right?
Sure. Yes. Can be. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities. But yeah, no. I mean, I know my friends tend to be a little bit more on the boisterous side, but
okay.
I don't know whether that's a reflection of our sort of microcosm of degenerates, or if that's a very broad paintbrush.
Yeah, well, regardless, it's certainly interesting here, and we'll start. So you can go ahead and start in Canada, and from there. Now, were you acting at an early age over there before you started studying in New York?
Yeah, me and I had a bunch of guys went to high school with, and even before that, I mean, I was in the school play when I was 6.
Oh wow, okay.
7. I always had an interest in it for whatever reason, and then as I got older, there was more bits and pieces that sort of came in. I fell in love with Dances with Wolves, and
oh, awesome. Okay.
Yeah, that's a crazy story in itself. And then throughout sort of middle school and high school, I was lucky enough to be around a group of friends who are still my best friends to this day, and we just all sort of had similar interests, be it Kiss, AC/DC,
heck yeah,
drama,
I love
hockey,
AC/DC,
baseball, rugby. Didn't really matter. Like, we were all sort of together, and we used to put on shows, in the caf at lunch, or we'd be in the local theater. What do we call that? Competitions or
okay.
School plays, and I was one of those weird sort of dudes who was captain of the sports teams, but was also part of the drama club and all that kind of jazz. So
well, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, we kept it spicy.
Yeah.
It made for an interesting life in high school.
Yeah, I know what that's like, because I was always a movie nerd, TV nerd my entire life, but I love sports, so it was kind of a weird kind of combination. You think you just have the AV theater people on one side, then the jocks on one side, but nowadays, last, decades and whatnot, people are just becoming both. Everyone has so many interests, and it's pretty interesting. So, when you go from Canada and you come over there, and then you start studying in New York, like, why New York specifically did you choose to kind of hone your craft?
Well, because it sort of harkens back to the Dances with Wolves.
Okay.
When I was 8 years old, I had I would get up for hockey practice at the crack of ass in the morning, and we had to you had to go rent a video. And so Friday nights, my parents would usually rent a video down on Lakeshore Road from our local shop called the Video Post.
Okay.
And they'd allow me to select one movie before I'd go to bed. And it was always like, Superman or Goonies or Princess Bride or whatever. And then, so I'd watch my movie, they'd kick me off to bed, and then they'd watch their more sort of
serious
adult movies in the non-pornographic sense. and then I'd come in the morning, and I'd put my hockey equipment on downstairs, waiting for my parents to, get up and drive me to hockey practice. But I'd usually be able to get an hour in or what have you of their movie. And then this one day, 1990, it was Dances with Wolves. And I remember watching that movie saying that is what I want to do with the rest of my life. I mean, that is where I want to be able to tell stories like that. I want to be part of a big sweeping epic. I want to be part of this incredible, this incredible thing. I want to use another word for story, but I'm losing it.
Journey?
I got to bring out my thesaurus.
Maybe the incredible journey.
But anyways, it's this big story that's bigger than you, that means something, that tells something, that conveys emotion, and really sort of just it's bigger than you, and I just completely got sucked in and drawn in. So that sort of gave me another little push in that direction. And then when I was 12, maybe 13 years old, on Saturdays, you'd get the Saturday paper, and it's the big paper, right? So it'd be the Toronto Star, and I would always get the sports first, and then I'd get the comics, and then I'd read the entertainment. And one time I opened up this entertainment, and lo and behold, there's a picture of Danny DeVito and Robert Redford in this ad for American Academy of Dramatic Arts. And I was like, I know that guy. I know that guy.
Heck yeah, yeah.
And then I was like, I want to go to that school. And 6-7 years later, here I was in New York, and I was going to the school that I picked out 7 years ago.
It was that simple. Well, Phil, I think it's great, especially when you talk about Dance with Wolves. You talk about the kind of motivation and kind of what started your love of film. Because part of the What the Faulk Show, what we try to do, and what you're doing right now, is you're providing an insight and a point of view for somebody else out there, whether it's in Toronto or Ireland or in America or a different planet. You never know. You're going to give them some insight about what it takes and maybe what it took for you to kind of be successful and everything in between. So again, I appreciate you talking about it. So next up, you're talking about earlier work. You're in NYC, and then you get yourself on Law and Order. You get yourself on The Good Wife. What was it? I mean, how scary and nervous was that when you walk into those auditions?
Well, The Good Wife wasn't until years after.
Yeah, later on.
Law and Order was one of my first. That was my first TV gig. I'd done a bunch of commercials before and some really shitty theater, and like really bad theater, like just horrible theater.
We had fun though, right? You had fun.
I mean, listen, it's all a learning experience. Some are, I always say. Somebody asked me a question the other day in another interview. They're like, what shows have you done, or what's your favorite show? And I'm like, I've done a lot, some better than others, all worthwhile.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Because you're always going to learn from anything you do if you're open-minded enough.
Yeah.
And I remember doing shows under staircases, in the middle of busy bars, on the streets in Times Square, up this one really horribly built building that was going to crumble at any moment. And we were on like the top floor, the 12th floor, at like 39th and 12th, maybe 11th. And it was horrible. And it was part of this really shitty show.
Okay.
I forget what it's called. I don't really want to say it because just in case something. But it was just god awful. And I remember we had to talk so fast, and this is what the director wanted. And I was like, nobody's really understanding what we're doing. And it wasn't necessarily interactive theater, but it sort of had that sort of element of the theater was around the audience.
Yeah.
Or the play was around the audience. And it was really horrible. And I remember a couple of my friends came, and a couple of well-to-do actors, then and now. And they're like, dude, nice work. What the hell were you doing? What was that about? I was like, bro, I have no idea. I'm really sorry, man. Like, thanks for coming out. But then, then going on Law and Order, fast forward doing, boatloads of commercials and, again, really shitty theater. Then I got this gig on Law and Order, and I got to kill myself and have a nice sort of scene. And I remember being there, and I got in, and I was all jazzed, and but you don't ever want to be that guy. Hey, how you going? Hey, what's up? Hey, just, you got to know your role. You're a day player.
You're there to work. Yeah.
Whether you're under 5 or a day player or a guest star or what have you, like you're jumping into somebody else's machine. So you've just got to just go in, do your job, and and walk out. Like, don't be that guy who's trying to be with everybody or talk to everybody. Heaven forbid you're the guy who starts making ridiculous choices, as in telling people what you're gonna do or telling them, changing lines or anything like that. I mean, like,
okay.
You're just going in there for a day. But anyways, I went in and I was lucky enough to work and act with the late great Dennis Farina.
Yeah, rest in peace.
And he was we were in the makeup chair side by side, and he was really cool. And he was like, "Oh, hey kid, so what are you, dead guy?" I was like, "Well, I got a couple scenes before that, but yeah." And he's like, "Good for you." And I was like, "So who do you play?" And he's like, "Are you kidding me?" And I was like, "No, I never seen you before. So what do you got? What do you got
man.
So are you playing dead guy number 2? And he looks over at me and he goes, "Kid, I like you. You got balls. I like you. You're all right." So we sort of had a chuckle. And then, funny enough, one of the greatest things from that experience was Jesse L. Martin. Was the other cop in that show, did for years. And him and I sort of hooked up. Or not hooked up, but like sort of had a great sort of chat on set.
Okay.
And then a few years later, one of my other friends who's a big actress who knew him, and they did a thing together in South Africa. And she was like, "Hey, come meet my friend for lunch or whatever." And then I started walking up the street, and Jesse sort of gets up and goes, "I remember you. I know you." And then he's like, "Hey, do you play poker?" I said, "Yeah, I play poker." He's like, "Want to come to the game?" And now Jesse's one of my best friends, and we've been pretty tight for the last 8 years.
That's awesome. And Jesse is pretty well known for his role on Rent, right? On Rent, the musical and movie.
Now he's in The Flash.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, which is kind of tough. When I was filming in Calgary, I'd always go over to Vancouver and visit him, and we'd hang out. And he's a very close, dear friend of mine. And yeah, it's just tougher to see him when he's on the other side of the world.
Yeah, well, that sounds pretty exciting. And Phil, I don't know about yourself, but something I find very exciting is pizza. And sponsor of the What the Faulk Show is Ferris Pizza. It's the best pizza with the best price with the most love in it. So if you ever find yourself somehow filming a movie in Central California, in Bakersfield, California, please check out Ferris Pizza. Now, you talked about, you talked about doing early theater work and then Law and Order. Now, can I ask you, as an actor, do you gain confidence with each coming audition? Does it get easier, or are you still kind of nervous going in each time?
Well, brother, I'd like to back up, and let's talk about pizza for a while.
Oh, I'm down. Let's do it.
What is your favorite pizza? Why? And if you had any toppings on the planet,
okay,
what would you put on your pizza?
Okay, I'm fucking excited you asked. Okay, now I'm a pretty simple man. I'm a pretty simple American when it comes to that. So give me a nice cheese pepperoni pizza. But one thing I've added since college, I got hooked at UC Santa Barbara. They have spicy pizza. Now I love spicy pizza now, man. I have to have some tapatio or some kind of spice on my pizza. So, and I like it crispy. I like it cooked a little bit more, almost not like necessarily a pizza cracker.
Thin crust or regular crust?
Thin, actually. I'm a thin crust kind of guy. What about yourself?
I'm glad you asked that question. Thanks so much. Me, myself, I'm also a spicy guy. I put hot sauce on everything.
Yeah.
I mean, the other day I was at my buddy's bar, and he's like, "What are you doing with the hot sauce? You just ordered a salad." Well, just flow with me on this. It was a Cobb salad with a little bit of drizzle of hot sauce on it, and I tell you what, I'll spice that salad right out. But as far as pizza's concerned, I mean, I love a good sausage pizza. You give me a pepperoni.
Okay.
You know, it depends on where you're going too. Some are better than others.
Well, now you're starting to sound like an Italian, like myself. Are you part of our tribe as well?
Oh, dude, listen. Any tribe that likes pizza, I'm definitely part of.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, a little jalapeno.
Ooh.
Maybe, if you want to get crazy, throw some banana peppers on that. Now, some people overcook the banana peppers, which is not good.
Bro, I gotta be honest. I sound like a layman right now. What is a banana pepper? What is that?
Like those yellow peppers, like if you go into Subway or something like that.
Oh, okay. Copy that, yeah.
They're kind of sweeter peppers than like a jalapeno or like a bell pepper.
Okay.
But, yeah, give me a little meat, some peppers, and and obviously I gotta have a side of hot sauce because I'm gonna drizzle the shit out of it.
Yeah, well, here we go. Here on the What the Faulk Show, we're finding common ground on hot sauce, so that's something that brings everybody together.
That's
Pizza, hot sauce is one of those things. Faulk, yeah, man. So, I mean, just getting back, I just want to ask you, because, bro, we're gonna get to your Hell on Wheels work, and I've always enjoyed your character, and I know I'm gonna see you more and more in Dirty Weekend and your upcoming movies, but, so do you get more confident per audition, or are you just still kind of nervous each time?
I think it depends on the audition, to be honest. I mean,
okay.
There's a lot of crap out there. Sometimes, not let me say there's a lot of crap out there. Well, yeah, you know what? There's a lot of crap out there. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
There's, so certain things are just like, let me just go in there and let's just do this. Other things where you really resonate are with the character or the story, really, for lack of a better way and for a ridiculously dramatic way to talk, it speaks to me, man. And so you go and you do these things, and you're like, oh shit, and you rehearse, and then, well, side note, the worst part about it is like when they give you like 12 pages for the next day, and you stay at home, and your boys want you to come out, and you're like, nope, gotta focus, gotta work, gotta do this, got an audition at 10 in the morning, here we go. Although my agents are better, they know that I'm much better in the afternoon.
Oh my god, dude, I'm the same way. That's crazy. That's awesome. I agree.
So then you're there, and then so you go in, and they give you 3 scenes, 12 pages, and then you walk up, and they're like, "All right, Mr. Burke, you ready to go?" Yeah. Hey, we're only reading the first scene. You son's a bitch! I will kill you. Because I could have memorized that 3 pages in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But anyhow, going back to what you're saying, some things or some auditions better than others. I mean, or not better, but
just different.
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes there's, I've had a few just recently that I thought I did really well in, but I didn't get the role, or I was close to, but didn't. There's a couple TV shows that are coming on now that I was very close to, but didn't. And I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. I mean, if you start worrying about that, I mean, the one thing that I would say, and I heard Bryan Cranston put it best. He was talking about. He talks about, look, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose. Like, that's it. Yeah. You're gonna lose. No matter what, the audition, everything is going against you. I mean, being it a commercial, TV, film, theater, you have more of a chance to lose than win. So if you go in there knowing that you're going to lose, hopefully that mentality will take the pressure off of yourself in order for you to sort of jump in there, and you can be yourself and trust in your choices.
Just do you
and make it your own, because the casting directors and the producer and the directors, they are looking for you. You are the answer. You might not be their answer, but they're still looking for you. You are an answer of some kind. You might go in there with some crazy oddball choices, and they think that that's better than their original idea. But if you don't allow yourself the freedom to go in there and make those wicked choices, and they don't have to be completely off base, they can just be different from what they initially began with. And if you allow yourself that opportunity, then you give yourself freedom to play around and have some fun. And really, that's the name of the game. I mean, if you're not having fun doing this business, then get the hell out. What's
the point? Yeah, exactly. Well, that sounds like some great advice, because if you talk about it, it's a business of no. You're going to lose. So if you go in there knowing, just leave it all out on the table, leave it all out there. Like, if you're playing hockey or whatnot, you leave it all out on the ice, then you got nothing to lose. So it's probably, you just do it from that. So, I mean, one of those opportunities that came up for you was Hell on Wheels. I mean, man, did you have any idea going in for that audition of how much of a life-changing thing that was going to be?
No clue. Although, I knew this is a weird one too. So I knew sort of going in. The casting director actually called me specifically because I was in for a lot of their Irish stuff and a lot of their other sort of recent movies, and they had liked the cut of my jib. And I went in, and this is fucked up. So I went in and. I gave this audition, and I'd worked so hard, and I hardly ever dress up for an audition. Like, I might a little bit, or just to sort of get the tone. But for this one, I went in, like, as the character, and I never do that.
Okay, smart.
And I went in as a character, and I gave the audition, and I came out, and I thought I was absolute garbage. I thought I was crap. And I remember I went back, and I knew one of the casting directors, and she was an assistant at the time, and now she's moved on to bigger, better things. But I went into her, and I recognized that I was like, I got to go back. I got to do something. And I recognized people were handing over headshots, and I was like, hey, Jandis, sorry, hey, so I didn't get my headshot in, but I can run home and get it if you want. And she's like, okay, yeah, sure, Phil. I guess that's if you want. And I was like, yeah, okay, hold on. So I jump in the elevator, I start punching the wall, going, God damn it, I fucking suck. I'm horrible, this is crap. And I went home, I ran home, I stapled together this headshot.
Stapled, yeah, resume and everything.
And a headshot and resume, stapled together, ran back all the way downtown, back up, and she wasn't there. And then I was like, here's my opportunity. And so I said to the other girl behind the desk, I said, hey, Amanda said she wants to talk to me. Like, what? It's like, yeah, no, Amanda, when I was in here earlier doing the audition, she said, when I come back, I should, maybe I should,
drop it on.
Yeah, she just wants to come, she really wants to talk to me. And then she's like, okay, I guess I'll check up on that. And then so she went back, and she came back, and she's like, yeah, no, Phil, she's way too busy right now. She said, just leave the headshot, she's fine.
Yeah.
So then, and there was a lot, and at that point, it was later in the day, so there's a lot more well-to-do actors there, and who are way bigger than I ever could have been at that point, and most of them still, really. And I was just like, son of a bitch, fuck. And again, back in the elevator, punching the walls, and I'm like, I went to the subway and like started crying, like I just gave up the biggest opportunity of my life, or what? I gave up I didn't do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then I went back home. I remember yelling at myself and my mom, and I was mowing the lawn, and my mom goes, what? I flew up to Toronto to visit my parents. It was my best friend's wedding, actually, I think. And anyway, so I go back and mow the lawn. I'm just yelling at myself. I'm mowing the lawn, clearly thinking nobody's gonna hear me.
Mm-hmm.
My mom just belts out, Philip, what the hell is going on? Who the hell are you talking to? And I was like, Ma, so sorry, I don't know. She's like, what's going on? Why are you so down? And I said, well, I really shit the bed on this audition, I think, and, I just really, it should have been mine, and it should have been my kid. I feel bad. She said, she'll be all right, don't worry about it, everything's fine, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, whatever. So then, 4 weeks later, I get the call that I'm the only guy they're looking at in New York, and I ended up Oh man, this story can continue. But anyhow, lo and behold, I get the call. I ended up having to tape here. It was too late for me to fly to LA to test. And I made the short list of 4 or 5. I went, I did it, and they got me off the tape. And then getting to Calgary is a whole other story. But I know this is only an hour show, so I won't bore you with that.
No, you're not boring at all. Well, I would ask you then, if you talk about your motivation to start with Dance with Wolves, which was a Western-themed show, were you just already stoked? Did you feel like, wow, this is it? Like, this is what all these years have been waiting for? Like, were you more ready, you think, for the Western because of that than if you had to do like you've done other shows playing present day, but was Western, you felt like was kind of your niche at that point?
No, not at all.
No?
Not really. No. I mean, I played Irish characters before in plays and, in another show and all this kind of stuff. And
yeah.
No, I wasn't really thinking about the genre, to be honest. It wasn't until later, until you're actually involved in it, and then you sort of go to yourself, wow. I mean, I used to have this wonderful cook that I worked with. He was a South African guy, Omar Drami, and I remember him telling me when I was 21, he's like, Phil, I can see you in a Western. And I was just like, wow, man, I can't believe he's got to be some sort of soothsayer.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, I am in a Western. It's my first sort of big regular role, and it's just very funny how it all sort of came into place. Call it funny, call it fake, call it call it power of thought. It doesn't really matter. I never really tried to be in a Western. I'm just trying to pay my rent.
Yeah, exactly. Just trying to work. You're just trying to be a working actor. Well, I can tell you, man, I'm not trying to blow smoke up your arse, as they say on the other side of the ocean, but I really enjoyed Hell on Wheels, man. I'm a Western fan when it's good. Tombstone, some of the old Clint Eastwood ones. I love Kurt Russell in Tombstone. I love that one. So when I started watching Hell on Wheels, I was really into it. And your character, Mickey McGinnes, I really like the transition. You come in, and obviously you're supportive of your brother, but you start getting more and more confident. You have to get more and more aggressive and assertive because of the way where you're at. I mean, it's such a tough place, such a down in the mud place. You kind of had to grow, and you kind of had to become a predator yourself. What was it like? Was that how you saw Mickey going in the first place, or were you as surprised as the audience in terms of how the character grew?
I think that I mean, in the TV machine, the writers and producers really are they're the ones that have the most power.
Yeah.
They definitely gave us some. They allowed us a little bit of input, and then sort of more down the road there was a little bit more input, and then when they gauge you and sort of who you are and what you want to do and all this kind of jazz. Not that I'm anything like Mickey, to be fair, but although I wouldn't mind owning a brothel.
Yeah, why not?
But no, I mean, I had no clue. I at the beginning, I know Ben and I, even the first day that we hung out, we were having dinner, we both agreed that one of us is going to go at some point.
Yeah.
And that's just good storytelling. Unless there was something else that would come around, but it's Cain and Abel. Somebody's going to have to go at some point.
Somebody's going to have to.
We knew that somebody was going to go. Initially, I was told that I was the one who was going to go, but then things turned around when they sort of saw what I was doing and things that were sort of turning around. So I'm very thankful to them for recognizing that and allowing me to continue the story forward. As I remember in season 2, one of the writers called me up and said, "Phil, where do you see Mickey going?" And I was like, what if he becomes Steve McQueen, like on Dead or Alive? He's like a bounty hunter. What if he's a bounty hunter? Yeah.
He's like, I don't know.
Nah, I don't think that's gonna
I
happen.
don't think that's gonna happen.
Okay, no problem.
Well, okay, so speaking, I know you've been asked this before, and I have to ask, because I remember watching the special features when I bought season 1 and season 2 and so forth. I mean, the elements in Canada, were you kind of used to that growing up in that area, or was it as challenging as it appeared having a production in that kind of area?
Well, I grew up mostly in Toronto, so
pretty
that's completely that's on the other side of the country. I mean, that's mountain country. That's Rockies.
Yeah.
No, I was not used to it. I didn't know they had a season called Monsoon June. I didn't know we could get hail in the middle of July. We could get hail at any time, really. I remember one time I was there, and Colomini and I had finished work, and he goes, "Phil, Jesus Christ, you have to come over there. You'll never guess. Come over there." And so
it's a great impression, by the way. I love the impression.
And it was like his block was the only block that got snow. Like none other block that where he was staying got snow, and on the balcony he had about 2.5 feet in one corner of just snow, and hail.
Wow.
And nobody else, like you could see across the street, it's perfectly green for whatever reason.
For whatever reason, it got calm.
Dumped on his porch. It was hysterical.
And calm, that probably had to be a pretty big deal. I mean, he's a huge Irish actor. I mean, so many different movies from Star Trek. He's in one of my favorite movies of all time. I would hope you've seen it. Have you seen Layer Cake by Matthew Vaughn? He stars in that.
I have 2 copies.
Oh, dude. So you got some great taste, dude. We got pizza in common, we got spicy food, and we got some great films in common. So right now here on the What the Faulk Show, you know, here on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, Pod Directory, my parents' phone, or the text message I just sent you, people are starting to see what's going on here on the show. So Hell on Wheels, I've been part of shows where you rap, and it's so emotional. Was it pretty emotional that last year, the rap day, you know, that final martini?
Yeah, I think it was one of those things where, you know, I always considered Hell on Wheels. I mean, I never went to third level education. You know, I went to drama school, but for me, I got to learn so much. I mean, I was part of pretty much every crew. When I wasn't working in front of the camera, you know, I utilized the time up there in Calgary and where we were shooting in order to learn from everybody else. You know, I worked with the camera crew and the gaffers, the locations, props. I did locations one day, like just you know, I would.
That's awesome.
I'd shadow the directors, especially Neil LaBute. Him and I are good buddies now because of the show and all this kind of stuff. And we, I mean, it was. I think I consider it my third level education, my university, and my real sort of introduction as far as on camera. The machine. I keep going back calling it the machine, which is exactly what it is. The machine of television.
Yeah.
You know, really trying to soak up as much and learn as much. You know, eyes open, mouth shut. You know, ears wider. That sort of deal.
Do your job. You're there to do your job, and you're there to listen and do what you're told, right? So it's pretty simple from there, right?
Yeah, and have a bunch of fun. And,
yeah.
You know, but I think the emotional part about it wasn't necessarily. I mean, it had to end at some point. I mean, the railway gets connected.
Yeah.
Although there is a movement, much like the Sanders movement, there is a movement out there about Mickey P.I., which is the spin-off.
I'm just saying, man. You know, you versus the Pinkertons and go from there. It could be pretty awesome. You know, Deadwood.
Mickey somewhere, Pinkertons are fine, or me in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Pick up a little sidekick. It's like Murder, She Wrote, but with sort of there's some real sort of Deadwood type death.
Oh, and Deadwood is the next. Those are my 2 favorite Western shows, by the way. As anybody who knows good TV, it's Hell on Wheels and it's Deadwood. You know, so the fact that you guys were as good as that show shows the skill of that. And as you know, let me go ahead and say, so we'll go ahead and have the What the Faulk Show. I'll be the correspondent for the new Mickey P.I. show. Can we go ahead and agree on that now? Is that cool?
I agree with you whole 100 billion%.
Okay,
I'm telling you, it's going to be great. It's like, you know, it's going to be Murder, She Wrote meets Magnum P.I. with a whole lot of Deadwood death.
Fuck yeah, brother. Well, I'm down. Okay, you talked about Neil LaBute, which I want to get into, because you guys have worked together a few times now, from Alley and Alley to 30 Weekend, and he's a hugely successful playwright, very talented, from The Shape of Things, from the Broadway play, and then for The Shape of Things for the film they made. He's obviously directed a lot of episodes of Hell on Wheels, so was that connection built just from Alley and Alley and then Hell on Wheels, or you guys have kind of become a collaborative team? Billy, sorry, yeah.
No problem. Yeah, no, I sort of, the first day, and I've been such a huge LaBute fan my whole life, really, even back in high school. I just really dug his stuff, and ever since I first saw in The Company of Men, really. Yeah. And then I found out that he was directing a show, and I was like, oh man. And then we kind of just started goofing off with each other and laughing, and he kept on breaking my balls, and like we'd be doing like a scene, or we'd be rehearsing, and we'd do it. He'd be like, "Yeah, that's pretty good. As long as we could replace Phil in this scene. Can you replace Phil? He's pretty shit at acting. Can we get him around? Can we get him out of here?" And then so we just started breaking each other's balls, and then I remember I showed up with one of my favorite plays in a dark house. And I travel with it usually, and most times, especially when I'm going on location somewhere, I travel with a few books and plays that I like to just have in my space, I suppose. And I was traveling with it, and I got him to I got him to sign it, and then he signed it. Shit, I'm looking at it right now. He goes, "Here you go, bitch." And it's signed Neil LaBute. We used to become great buds, and we've done a couple of plays together now, a few readings, and Yeah, no, it's been a blessing that him and I have been able to continue working together, and are just moreover, we're just becoming better and better friends, and I love that guy. I got tons of time, and I'd go to the ends of the earth for that man.
Well, when you talk about In the Company of Men, you have In the Shape of Things, you have Dirty Weekend. His storytelling, his writing has been about kind of showing the real side of humans that you don't get to see, like the not pretty side of human beings that they don't show on NBC, ABC. You know, kind of those ugly sides that we really all do have. Now, Dirty Weekend, you were with Matthew Broderick, obviously huge actor. You were with Alice Eve, who don't tell my girlfriend, but she's a very, very pretty woman. What was it like? What was it like working on that project?
Yeah, it was cool. It was great. Matthew, funny enough, used to come into my bar quite regularly.
Really?
So yeah, when I was working bar over on the west side of New York, he would come in quite often, and we had similar overlapping circles, you know, like a Venn diagram.
Yeah. And
so I knew him. He didn't recognize me because I had long hair and a beard. But we'd be at, I remember, we'd see each other at mirrors and just at other friends' birthday parties and stuff. So once we sort of made that connection back, then, Maddie and I, I was like, oh, shit, yeah, all right. And then him and I are both big, huge baseball fans. And so we had that in common. And, we were just spending a bunch of time in a cab together, so you do nothing but talk. And then, it was lovely meeting Alice. And we had a blast, Neil and I like to think we speak the same language. And going back to what we were saying about his writing, I mean, one of the things that attracts me to all his work, his plays and his TV that he writes and all this kind of stuff, is the fact that I think he speaks people's... He writes unknown thoughts, as in not unknown thoughts. It's more. Let me phrase this again.
Unspoken.
He writes the way people think.
Yeah. Okay.
Without filtering it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, and it's true. And it's certainly for me, someone who doesn't enjoy, some of the too simple kind of shows. I like the writing that's a little bit more in depth and kind of shows the human side. And I certainly I enjoy his work, and I enjoy your work with him. So here on the What the Faulk Show and all the listeners out there, we're very much looking forward to your future project now. And speaking of future projects, we have Toss It, and then we have Call Sheet. Now, Call Sheet, I'm going to assume that has to do with entertainment. Am I right, or am I off base?
Yeah, it was, we just finished that. I don't know. A couple of months ago now, I suppose. We filmed that in the Poconos on a shoestring budget, and it was Michael's wonderful director. It was cool. I mean, it's sort of a movie within a movie, and it's horror suspense and
nice,
very genre specific. So we'll see how that goes. But I met some wonderful people on that, so that was a bonus. And then Toss It, we're actually starting tomorrow morning.
Nice.
So we'll see how that is. It's more of another sort of independent film, romantic comedy, if you will.
Okay.
And I play the guy. So
you play the guy.
See.
Heck yeah. Now, so you do have an early call time. You're gonna go ahead and do your early call time tomorrow. Couldn't get an afternoon one.
Yeah, no. I mean, when it comes to, auditions are one thing. But when it comes to the job, you got to be there when they tell you.
Absolutely, man. Just to have the work is a blessing, right?
Absolutely.
If you want to go, if you can, Phil, if you want, maybe you're in a place around kids or people who don't necessarily like the curse word. So if you say Faulk, it's technically not a curse word. You can use that. You say, oh, Faulk, did you just curse? No, I didn't. I just said someone's last name. Go ahead and check out their show on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, Pod Directory. So you don't have to say all those words.
And I'm going to throw that all in.
It's a mouthful right there. Well, can I ask you, Phil, here we're going to get to the part of the show. I got some rapid-fire questions, just a few questions you can't prepare for, just right off the top of your head, and go ahead and give me your Faulkn answer. You ready?
Love it.
Okay, first question. Which superpower would you have?
I like to disappear.
Okay, so invisibility?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just sort of invisibility, or what if like a chameleon, like you can just change into your surroundings.
Ooh, I like it. Okay, yeah, that works. That works. I like that. Okay, next one. This is what we do every weekend on the show. Every week, would you rather have a pet dragon or a ninja talking monkey?
Well, I'm Phil Burke Ninja. That's my @Phil Burke Ninja. Is my Twitter that I just started a few weeks ago.
Okay.
So I think just to keep the brand together.
Because of that, the brand, the Faulkn brand.
It would have to be a ninja monkey.
Okay, and you already answered the one movie that brought you here, which is great. Fucking Dances with Wolves, a great movie. I love that. Kevin Costner's the man. Now, so I'll go ahead and ask this: is there like a Canadian or Irish dish that the American listeners wouldn't know much about that you just love?
Oh, somebody asked me this the other day, actually, funny enough. There is an Irish breakfast, a real true Irish breakfast with sauces, rashers, 2 eggs over easy, some potatoes, just fried potatoes on the side, little black and white pudding, the fried tomato, some beans, like a real Irish breakfast, a good fry up. That is fantastic. That would be, if I was heading to the chair, that would be my last meal. Well, and then as far as Canadian dishes are concerned, I mean, you can go sort of, you can go the French sort of poutine, tourtière, or you can go sort of, the back bacon, which is just bacon in Canada. A little pimento bacon is bacon in Canada.
Heck yeah. But
what I do love when I go back to Toronto is the street meat there. The hot dogs in Toronto are the best in the world. For $2, you can get a fat, huge hot dog or Italian sausage or a mild sausage or a Polish sausage for a toonie. And then you got all the toppings you want. I'm talking 3 types of mustard, 4 types of ketchup.
Wow.
I'm talking 2 types of relish, cream corn, bacon bits, jalapenos. I'm talking hot sauce. I'm talking barbecue sauce, mayonnaise. You name it, they got it. Sweet peppers, hot peppers. You want a lady on top of that? That comes with a toonie.
For $2, man. That's a fucking great deal. Oh, Phil, hey, I gotta tell you, man, I say this to all my guests, but I absolutely mean it every time, and I mean it this time especially. Bro, you've been a great Faulkn guest on the show. I appreciate you coming on, man. Super entertaining. You gave some great point of view, some great insight, and I absolutely know the listeners are gonna enjoy it.
Well, I motherfucking appreciate that.
Yeah, dude. And if I have you on, if it's cool, some of my guests I'm starting to do now with your awesome accent, can you give me maybe just like a sentence or a promo you would do for the What the Faulk Show? Like, hey, this is Phil Burke, and I'm on the What the Faulk Show this week, or anything you'd want to say. I'll go ahead and record this. I'll have this on the next week's episode.
Sure, of course, yeah. How's it going? My name's Phil Burke. I'm on the What the Faulk Show. No idea what the fuck I'm doing here. Mother Faulkner called me up, and I'm fucking doing it. But join in, tune in, have a laugh, and a great time. And just fucking be responsible.
that was fucking awesome, man. So, okay, last thing. Sorry, you talked about your Twitter at Ninja Phil Burke, and are you on Instagram as well, so the listeners can find you?
Yeah, it's at Phil Burke Ninja, and then the Instagram is hashtag Philly Burks.
Hashtag Philly Burks. Okay, buddy, and this will be coming out in 2 weeks. It'll be on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, Pod Directory. I'll literally be texting any and everyone who will listen to it. And as you know, there's a whole boatload of Hell on Wheels fans out there, so they're going to go and listen too. And once again, Phil, I fucking appreciate it, man. You have a great evening, and you have a wonderful time on your new episode, or your new project tomorrow.
I appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Okay.
I motherfucking look forward to seeing you again, bud.
Okay, thanks, buddy. Bye.
All right, mate. Good luck.
You too. Now, that super entertaining fellow was Phil Burke. Obviously, we talked about him being a lead as Mickey McGinnes on AMC's Hell on Wheels the last 5 years. Talked about his work on Law & Order, The Good Wife, The Nick for Cinemax. The guy does many great, amazing things. And you can see he's a really entertaining guest and a really funny guy. So I think you're really going to enjoy all of his work. And we'll look forward to his future projects like Call Sheet and Toss It. This is Connor Faulk with What the Faulk Show. Find it through SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, Pod Directory, my parents' phone, and the text message I just sent you. You can find me on Twitter at MyWTF Show, on Instagram, MyWTF Show, SoundCloud, MyWTF Show, Facebook, MyWTF Show. Basically, you find MyWTFSHOW, and it's me, it's Connor Faulkn with The Faulk Show. Absolutely appreciate you listening and taking the time. Had a great time talking with Phil. Have a great time talking to all my guests. I really appreciate the opportunity that I get to do this. Try to provide some insight and some point of view in the industry, whether it's entertainment, sports, food, medical, whatever it is. Hopefully some witty informational conversation interview format that made your day a little better. Stop listening to the same song for the 8th time on the radio. Faulk that. Talk to you next week, and thanks for listening.